Good morning and welcome to week 28 of our breathing techniques and also talking about our limbs of yoga. So this time we're on to our third, fourth and fifth wheel, and these are the ones that people tend to think of as yoga. They are physical movements, the breathing and the withdrawal of senses. So we'll start with the breathing, the postures, the asanas. And you'll see that word asana at the end of most when they're talking Sanskrit. So the only one I can always remember is Triasana, which is triangle pose. But the asana is basically what it's trying to do. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to sit for a long time without moving, to sit down or lie down. And that's what they're supposed to do. Now, in the Yoga Sutras, there are only actually 3 poses mentioned, and that's corpse pose, lying down, lotus pose, where we're sitting with our legs up on our hips, and tree pose. They're the only 3 that are actually mentioned. All the rest are kind of made up, and they're meant to just stretch and tone. They will release toxins from the body, they burn fat, they make your body nice and toned, and you find balance as well, so it helps with your balance. And so there's lots of good things that come from doing yoga, the postures. The second one is conscious breathing. Now, again, the reason I'm saying the Sanskrit words for these 3 especially is because you'll see them a lot. And these 2 words, because they're said very quickly, because a lot of people don't feel confident saying Sanskrit words, people get them confused. So you've got pranayama. Now, this is the conscious breathing. And when we're comfortable with our breathing and our posture, so we tend to do a lot of our breathing techniques at the end when we're sitting down and doing nothing, so that we can just concentrate on that breathing. But you should be able to, while you're doing the postures, be able to hold it and think about the breathing. And it's about keeping the breathing nice and slow and long, and trying to feel comfortable and focus on that breathing. Now, also with the breathing and controlling the breath in, the breath out, what we need to do is also to control the times in between the inhalation and the exhalation. And that's when all the good stuff happens. You'll hear me and loads of other ones of my videos talking about diffusion, love diffusion. But it's when all the good stuff happens in the body, and that tends to happen when we're still, very, very still. And that tends to happen when we're not breathing. And I'm not saying holding the breath until you have to breathe out, but breathe in and then breathe out. And then breathe in. And it'll be that natural, and everybody does it. When we start talking about breathing, people start to change their breathing habits. They'll start to fill their lungs and fill all this and put it in all in here. But if you try, especially if you're watching TV, to try and catch yourself and just think, how am I breathing now, without changing it, you'll notice that actually you do. And if you can't do it on yourself, watch someone else. Watch someone when they're concentrating on something or they're watching the telly, and watch how they breathe. And you'll see that every now and then they hold their breath at the top and at the bottom, because it's natural. But the minute we start thinking about it, we start worrying about it and how many we've got to do. But that's what we're trying to do. Now, a normal person breathes in 1 minute between 8 and 16 times. And a breath in and a breath out is 1, including them holds as well. So up to 16 is when normal. We, as yoga, what we're trying to do is get it down. We're trying to get it down to about 6 to 12 breaths per minute. Where am I thinking? So what we also want to do is, so when we breathe out, is that we want to breathe out a little bit longer than we do when we breathe in. So the third or the fifth wheel of yoga is pratyahara. And this is a withdrawal of our senses. And it's a detachment from the world around you. And it's getting to a point where you don't hear, you don't smell, you don't see anything. Your eyes could be open, but you've got rid of the whole world around you, that you brought everything into you. And it sounds really hard. It's like, well, how do I do that? You've probably done it. You've probably done it when you were running, or when you were watching TV, or usually mine is when I'm washing up. and you're doing something, you're focused on something, can you completely go inside yourself? Now, we call it daydreaming. It could be. You could just be there daydreaming, but it's aware that's what happens. The body will do it naturally. What you've got to do, and what yoga tries to teach you, is to control it so that you can decide when you go in to that kind of trance state where you get rid of everything. And it's at the point, usually we get to it, it's the point just before we fall asleep. So it's just on that point where we're tethering between sleep and not sleep, where we can kind of hear things going on around us, but we know they've got nothing to do with us, so we take no notice. And we kind of start to blank them out. And then we tend to fall over and go to sleep. But it's being able to hold yourself at that point before you fall asleep. So there are next three. But what these three are trying to do is they're getting you ready for the next three that are coming, because they're a little bit harder and a little bit harder to grasp as well. The first three, again, are moral restraints, how we treat ourselves, things like that. We kind of get that. We've got to treat ourselves, treat the world well, treat others well, treat ourselves well. We get that. We get the fact that we've got to, if we do a lot of stretches, it gets our muscles nice and relaxed so that we can sit for a long time. We get the fact that if we breathe, we're going to improve our lung capacity. We get the fact that we can kind of let ourselves go and just think about ourselves and think how our feet are feeling, our hands are feeling, really focus. We get that. The next three, they start to take it a little bit. And again, with the same we did when we were doing the chakras, as you get kind of further up, they get a bit harder to grasp. So, like I said, we start with those. So we're going to start with finish with a really nice breathing exercise, which again we've done earlier on, which is hummingbird. Now this is where you're making a humming sound. And then stopping. You don't get to the point where you go, otherwise you're just not working your lungs very well. So you want to stop before you get to that point where you have to. Then when you naturally need to breathe in, you breathe in. But what you want to do is to try and make that out breath a little bit longer than it was to breathe in. Also, we're going to do 10 and then I'm going to get you to stop at the end. And I want you to stop your vibration, stop your hum, but I want you to sit and stay as quiet and as even as you can. Again, hold the breath either in or out, wherever it was when I said it stop. And just sit as long as you can until you have to breathe in or breathe out. I don't want you to hold it too long. Let it breathe out naturally. But I want you to really still feel everything that's happening through the body. I want you to really see if you can still feel that vibration going through the body. So, here we go. Oh, yes, sorry, there's one. You can always change the pitch as well. I forgot about that one. You can so you'll find as soon as you start, you'll find your own hum. You may find that if you want, you can always go up. Or down. Or up. See, my mind says something, my brain says it does something completely different. So, we're going to start off there. So, sitting nice and straight, doesn't matter where you are, floor, you can lie down, sit down, stand up, it doesn't matter. As long as you're straight, you're not kind of slumping down. So, from here, let's start. So just stay here now, nice and silent and nice and still. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in, stretch the arms, and breathe out through the mouth. Bring the arms down. 2 more. Reach the arms, give yourself a nice stretch to the sides. And let's have our last one. And bring the arms down. Thank you for joining me today. Let me know, next month again we're starting our new course. If you want to join in and do some more of the classes, I do 7 a week for £10 a month. Come and join me. Take care. Bye bye.